We're live! Yes, hello, yes! Welcome to the final Scotty Survivor Lost in Time recap, and I'm your host Lee, and with us, as usual, are the co-hosts of Scotty Survivor, Govin and Shane. It's the end of the season! It's over! How do you two feel with, well, first the final, well, first how are you two regularly, then how's your thoughts of the final, and then thoughts of the season?
I can go first. Regularly, a lot of turmoil going on in my life at the moment, but generally upbeat. As far as the season's concerned, I'm sad that I think this is what Shane and I have been like. The moment this season started filming, we are like, this is going to be something good. And I think we were always waiting until this moment where now this story has finally wrapped, and we're like, holy shit, we did that shit. And especially less so we, more so Shane. Like Shane really shepherded this like fully across the finish line. I think it was a marvelous story from start to end. And then also like props to the cast, right? Like you can only do so much from a producing standpoint if the cast doesn't deliver on all cylinders. So they were fucking brilliant. I think this. I was saying this preseason. I'll say it still now. I think this is the best season I've seen of College Survivor at the very least. And if not, I think the story can rival that of some seasons of Real Survivor. I'd personally watch this any day over like Philippines or One World or a lot of other seasons too.
The two most randomest seasons, One World and Philippines.
I meant to say Samoa, and then Philippines just came out. So
Shane, what about yourself?
So I'm doing actually pretty well personally. Things are looking up for me, and honestly, I am as much as I'm like really sad that the season is over. I'm honestly kind of thrilled just because, as we all know, this was a pretty big undertaking for me. So I mean, it's like Govin said. I knew from the second that we started that this was something I needed to do, like right away. I wasn't even an editor when this season started, and I said the only reason that I started editing was for this season, not to finish season one. Like, of course, like I needed to, and I picked up it on the fly. That's not why I started to learn how to edit. I started to learn how to edit because I watched what was happening in this season and said I need to be a part of this. And from that moment, I just like I had all these ideas in my brain for like how this season was going to be put out. And just watching it back, like even my family's not like big Survivor fans, so like they don't really get it. But like having friends of mine who do know Survivor, like kind of just like watch what I've put together and kind of have reactions to it and see the little things that I put in there. It was just really special, especially with this last episode, just kind of like seeing everything fall into place. So like Gobin said, I actually like I teared up when I uploaded this. Like I was like, I cannot believe that this was like 9 months of my life of just like constant work on this show. I like neglected so many things personally that I should have been doing. Like I was even working on this while playing Survivor, like at school, because that's how like invested I was in this cast and in this story. And so for it to be done, as much as I'm like, oh, I'm thrilled, like it's going to be really weird to not have this on my screen pretty much every single day. Like I spent at least 2 to 3 hours like each day, like at the very minimum going through footage. And even when I thought something was done, I was like, nope, gonna go back because I always found something else. You know what I mean? So it's very rare that you get a season like this where you can do something like that, where you can create these very complex, emotional narratives, and they gifted us with this. It's Govan said it's completely the cast. We were there to produce the season and the twists and everything else, but they are the ones that made this season what it is. And I'm just the storyteller. So without them, this couldn't have been the season that it was. So truly, this cast we will never have anything. Maybe not. I don't think it's going to be very, very hard to top this, in my opinion.
Yeah, this season was wild from out the gate. I thought season one was like messy and batshit crazy, it's nothing compared to this season. I mean, Puppet Master, Fake Idols, Master Puppet Master, Godfathers. And you're right, it does come down to the cast. I've been saying it since the cast assessments. I don't know where you found these people, but you found them, and we got an amazing season. Govin, what's your opinion of Abby now compared to preseason interviews?
I was actually looking back on my preseason interview notes, and I could not be more wrong on Abby, dude. I fully bought what she told everybody in episode 1, that she can't lie, that she's going to be somebody who just like does her best in a lot of things. And then clearly she came into her own in a way that I at least did not expect whatsoever. When we were casting people, I ended up being fine with the Abby cast because I was like, okay, this is going to be a cool person that might act as somebody that Vivian is then going to have to interact with, and somebody that maybe she'll make a mistake by telling the truth to the wrong person, and then that's going to get Vivian in hot water, similar to what we kind of saw with Tina and Nadia.
Well, it did happen. It did happen.
I guess that did actually happen with Ethan, yeah.
But that was more on Vivian's part.
idea. That was literally Vivian's idea.
I fully was like, okay, this is going to be a cool way of seeing Vivian's personality come through her interactions with Abby. But then little did I know Abby would be the star of the show. I think Abby's one of, if not the most iconic person in College Survivor. Like or at least is in that conversation at the very least. And I think when you have a nickname where everyone's going to know who the hell you are the moment you say the Puppet Master, that speaks for itself, right?
And I mean, what a nickname.
I just want to point out that the fact that Abby was like a very controversial cast pick for us is crazy to me. Like, I think myself and one other producer were the only people that were like, we must have Abby on this cast. And like, we were fighting. Like, it was like, no, we don't want Abby. Yes, we like, I'm telling you, like, we want this girl. Like, you just gotta trust that like we are right about this. And honestly, I went back and forth a couple times, even as much as I was gung-ho on her. There were some things that I was like, well, I don't know. Like, there are some other people that might be better fit for this. But, oh my God, like, just, if we hadn't cast her, this season wouldn't be what it was. It would be a fine season, but there is no Scotty Survivor Lost in Time without Abby. I can't picture it without it. We had backups in mind. And I can inject them into the season, and I can't see a world where any of this, and not even just the Puppet Master stuff, but any of the things that happened, like, I don't think they would have. I mean, obviously, like, that's gonna happen when you change the cast, but like, I truly think that with Abby here, it really elevated the whole season. Gobin said she is the star of the show, and not only that, I think she has one of, if not the best winter arcs of all time. I think, rivals Chris Thomas in Maryland All Stars, of creating this persona, this unheard of persona that we've never seen before, using it to gain crucial information in the game, making a huge power play pre-merge, getting exposed at the merge, thought never could win. Everybody in the comments was like, Abby's never going to win. We thought Abby was never going to win. There was no world in my mind where I was like, Abby is making it to the final 3 and winning, because the jury, when she was voting people out, were kind of bitter. And so then she clawed her way up to the end and somehow convinced these people in the final council. We'll talk about it, but it was not as unanimous as it appeared when we were in roundtable. Like, people were bitter. So there was a good chance that Abby lost this season. So the fact that she made it, even with an idol in her hand that she did not even need, is just, I literally don't know how she did it. I watched her confessionals, I watched the interactions, and I still don't understand how these people let her get through. So to me, I think it's one of the most iconic winter arcs ever, even in normal Survivor, because when are you going to see a player like that ever again?
No idea. And if people are wondering why we're talking so much about Abby, spoiler, she won the season.
We would be talking about Abby this much even if she didn't win the season, let's be real, but like...
Yeah, we'll probably talk a lot about Abby later in probably a couple of minutes for reasons, but let's talk about the 2 runner-ups, Valen and Haley. Well, first off, congratulations to them for making it to the end. congrats on getting votes. It's more than what Sarah can say last season.
Poor Sarah. We like Sarah. Stop.
We like Sarah. Too bad we weren't the jury.
Jesus, Lee.
I'm not
They were
wrong.
bitter. They were bitter.
Yeah, and you guys, mainly you, Shane, saying like this cast is better. I thought it was going to be a similar story for Abby. So I kept saying, even if Abby makes it to the end, I can see Valen or Haley winning. But despite...
Okay, I gotta be honest, a lot of me saying that was just me throwing off suspicion about Abby winning.
Abby.
The biggest thing that I wanted with the season was for nobody to know the winner. I was so I was very, very annoying about making sure that people did not spoil things. Like if people spoiled things, I was really mad about it. And even in the edit, I threw a lot of red herrings in there to just kind of draw suspicion away. I mean, they made it easy for me because nobody thought Abby was gonna win regardless, but seriously, yeah.
Yeah. So what do you guys think, as witnesses, was the downfall in Haley and Valen's not getting more jury votes? Was it simply the games they played? Was it what they said at Final Tribal Council?
Haley's is really easy to me. If Abby was not there in the final council, I think Haley would have won. Just simply because I think she had much stronger relationships on the jury than Valen and Nadia. At that point, Nadia, I think, as much as I love Nadia, as much as I think that Nadia played an amazing game, I don't think this jury would have been great for her. I think there were too many people that were against the way she played the game and thought that she took too much of a backseat during the merge. Haley, not everybody was the biggest fan of her game, but everybody loves a good underdog. I mean, same with Abby, but everybody loves a good underdog. And if Haley made it to the end where Abby was on the jury, she's getting Abby's vote. She's definitely getting Vivian's vote. She's getting Ricky's vote and Runjin immediately. So that's 4. And she's 100% getting Xavier's vote because they were really close in the season. So I think Haley sweeps. I think Valen gets 2 votes and Nadia gets 1. So I think the same thing, same vote count would happen, just in a reverse order.
Yeah, I agree with that in the way that I think Valen and Nadia kind of have a very similar arc as far as the Zaman stuff is concerned. Haley's very easy to make a name for yourself in regard to having a completely different resume from them. In addition to that, I think the whole crux of her game was having really deep social connections with people. You see those people on the jury there. Abby, of course, is closer with those people, or those people respect her game a little bit more so. So Abby takes votes away from her here. However, I do think, at least personally, having watched from the producer side of things, I do think Valen should be winning that final 3, in my opinion. I have a lot of respect for the game that Valen plays. I think the game that Valen plays is one that often results in you making to the final 3. It's just a question of how good are you at selling yourself at the end there. And I think you see a lot of that in the way that Valen sold herself yesterday, that she's so nice, and that's what gets her to the final 3, but that's also what hurts her at the final 3, right? She's not willing to tear down her opponents. She's not willing to really put her foot in the ground and say, hey, this is why I dominated this game. And I personally don't even know if she fully believes that she dominated that game when trying to make that sort of argument, right? I think one thing that really is an issue for her is it's still a little bit muddled as to what were Henry's moves, what were Ethan's moves, and what were her moves. When you're trying to take credit for things that where Abby can clearly say, hey, I did this thing by myself. That's why I should be your champion. And then in addition to that, I think that Valen also is somebody who has a really, really strong social game. And a lot of people often view that as, okay, you just had a lot of friends and didn't really make waves, which I think is a discredit to her game. I think a strong social game is very good in its own right. You just have to be making sure that you're standing next to people who either have something that the jury values less, right? And this jury was very strategic in the way that they wanted to have a champion. And when you're sitting next to the puppet master who pulled off some insane strategy, but then also some really, really cool strategy, they want that to be the reason that they can all be happy going to sleep and say, this is my person that's going to represent our season.
Yeah.
I'm sur-
Sorry, Lee, go for it.
I was gonna say I'm surprised Valen didn't really bring up how she was the one that discovered the puppet master to the jury. I thought she would have mentioned that. Maybe it could have maybe gained some thing with certain jury members that were kind of anti-Abby.
I think that the problem with that is that the puppet master is still there. So like she's saying that, but she's like, I exposed the puppet master, but the puppet master is still sitting next to you. I think what really what lost Valen the game was them thinking, the jury comparing notes and saying Valen had a great social game, but that's not enough. I think that if she had been up against somebody like Haley, I think it would have been a much harder argument for like who would have won. But I think she played in a fantastic social game and had great kind of like social elements to everything. But at the end of the day, the jury was looking at all three parts of the game. They weren't as bitter in the end. They weren't as bitter as they came off in roundtable that they were. We thought this was going to tie.
That.
We really thought this was going to tie. Like I was
like
convinced.
A 4-4 between Valen and Abby, or Valen and Haley?
Yeah, Valen and Abby.
That's why I was shocked watching this back. I fully remember it being much more bitter. So because of that, I thought Abby won by a single vote in my memory. I didn't realize that Abby won like 5-2-1, which I was like, oh shoot.
Yeah. Like I said, it's very rare that we see all three people get a vote to win, and you kind of understand all three of them get it. It's not like a major conflict where you're like, why the hell did they vote for Tim?
Yeah, I think all three of them deserved votes. I mean, the thing that's rough is that like for a second I really thought Haley was going to be a 0 vote finalist just because there were a lot of people that were I would say pro Abby but also anti Valen winning, just because they really wanted Haley or Abby to win, and so like some votes that might have gone to Haley out of loyalty, like Ricky said Haley in his voting confessional. Ricky did like a whole 2-minute thing. It just was too much to like put in the edit, to be honest. Like it was just too long.
Thanks.
He said, Haley, like I really, really, really want to vote for you, but this is not your jury, and I need to vote for the person who I think is gonna win. And if it ties, I'm hoping that you're gonna choose the right person for this. So like he was like, I want to make sure that Abby wins. And so a lot of people didn't vote for Haley because even though they had maybe better personal connections with her, like Ranjan and Ricky and even Xavier, they were like, we need to make sure that Abby wins. So that's kind of, that's kind of what happened.
But the funny thing is, if those people did kind of vote for Haley, even out of loyalty, she would have won.
Yeah.
It really just shows, like, I always just say this: vote who you wanna. Like, if you want to vote Haley, vote Haley. But if you also want to vote Abby, I guess you can understand it that way.
I think at the end of the day, they wanted to vote Haley, but were more impressed with Abby's game anyways. So it ended up working out okay. They felt bad about not voting for Haley, but I think everybody was. I mean, it's kind of just like Ranjan and their like voting confessional was like, Haley, I love you, but you can't compete with the puppet master. Like,
yeah, that's a good way to explain it.
Yeah, and that's how pretty much everybody who would vote for Haley kind of approached it. I think Haley I think Haley was the sleeper game. I think it came through in the edit. I think her kind of grasp on the game, like she had no business surviving the final 6 or the final 5. Like if they were smart, if Zaman was smart, they wouldn't have voted out Nikhil there. Like that was a bad move. Like that was a really bad move for Valen and Henry, because if they hadn't voted out Nikhil and they had voted out Haley, Abby isn't playing that idol on anybody. Like, and they would have gotten through, and one of them would have made it to the end. I guess Henry probably would have made it to the end, and Abby might not have won. So voting out Nikhil was like a really, really poor decision there, and Haley's social game is what got her through that. And it also got her through Abby giving her the idol, which she didn't need. But if they had voted for her, she would have been safe. So just
A part of me did think Abby was going to play the idol for Nadia just to guarantee.
She was thinking about it. She almost did. So I don't know what
You
happened.
could kind of see it in her reaction.
I don't know what happens to the footage of me in that tribal, but Abby paused for about a good minute or two. Like we were standing up there for a while before she made her choice, and she literally looked at Haley and went, "Who did you vote for?" Like nodded, and Haley just nodded to Henry. But if she had voted for Nadia, Abby would have played the idol on Nadia.
Yeah, because you can kind of see it in Abby's reaction, like, why is she looking extremely over-emotional for playing the idol for Haley?
Yeah.
Speaking of Nadia, let's talk about her and how she got out in a 2-2 tie, Final Four tiebreaker, and losing to 21 Flags.
Yeah, I think that was gut-wrenching on my part, right? Because of course, like you're on prod and you're trying to be unbiased, but this is like a very close personal friend of mine who I know is, if she wins, she makes it to the final three, which is all that she wants. But I know that she gets destroyed against the Puppet Master at final three, so I'm like trying to decide in my own mind, like, do I want her to win? Do I want her to lose? What is the right move as a friend? So I was like very conflicted watching it happen, and I remember. I forget now what the strategy is for 21 Flags, but I remember seeing her take some number of pieces.
We made eye contact. We were like,
yeah, some number of pieces in that final round. And I was like, okay, she just lost it. But she didn't. She lost it at that point. And I was like, fuck.
Well, the thing
I think it's when there was 10 dice left and she only took one.
If you know the strategy, if you go first, then you should win. And she went. It's funny because we were getting dragged for that, but clearly she didn't know the strategy, so that's what lost her. Yeah, I would have loved to see Nadia in the final three just because I think it would have been even more competitive than it was. Like I still don't think she would really get a lot of votes just because, like, I don't know, Abby just had such power over her, and Abby wasn't like afraid to kind of diss Valen in her speeches, which is kind of I think she gained some respect for that. Because Henry, even though Henry didn't vote for her, like they wanted to. I just think it's actually kind of weird to trash people's game in the final council anyway. But like,
oh, I love doing it.
I just think it's kind of weird. But like as somebody who's in the final three to like kind of diss the other people's games, like you should be focused on yourself. If the other jurors want to do that, that's their prerogative. But like you should be focused on yourself unless they ask you a direct question.
Yeah, that'd be the only reason why I do it.
Yeah, but yeah. Nadia, wow, what a player. Like so admittedly, like I was very, very, very anti Nadia in casting. Very. And she knows that. I love her to death. But in the first time that I met her, she came off so businessy. Like so different than what we saw in the season. Like I just was like I was bored in the interview. And maybe that's just because it was one of the first ones. And if I watched it back now, I'd have a very different opinion. But it wasn't just me. Like Nadia was another one where it was really contested, back and forth. Actually, Haley too. Those three, Abby, Haley, and Nadia. Abby not as much. Those two were like big points of contention, which is so funny that they ended up being like the season's major characters.
And then Valen was just like, yeah, we'll cast her.
Well, yeah, Valen, I think we were sold on. And I'll talk about that maybe a little bit as well. But sorry, I was just making sure that our guest is coming in a few minutes. But yeah, just Nadia's whole arc. I was so impressed by her, and I was so wrong in the interview, and I regret fighting against her because, man, she is just an animal. Like the way she came up with these, I knew as soon as we put her in, like when she started talking in her prod chat, I was like, okay, this was the right choice, because she was like, I got my fake idols. And then she did the whole thing with the massive Puppet Master, even the way she handled the Tina situation, I thought was so fucking funny. Like it was so like messy, so good. And just watching her blind fury for everything that happened was just so captivating, and the way that she kind of hid herself, similarly to Abby, of like, I'm gonna make myself not a threat. I mean, it didn't quite work, but it was a good strategy for what had happened, and just watching her lose that was so gut wrenching. Like, I was not personally as close to Nadia as I didn't know her before the season, but watching her lose that after her journey on the season was heartbreaking. I mean, I would have been heartbroken if Haley left too, but like particularly Nadia, just like you could see how much she wanted it, and it was just, oh man, it was hard to watch. It really was.
Yeah, I think you saw it on Nadia's face, just like how bad she wanted to make that final three, and the send off she got from the jury, just like standing ovation, being like, "Well done, Nadia." At least, I mean, it's not really much of a title. Like, she didn't get voted off. She just lost the game.
The game has spoken.
Yeah, the game has spoken. She also has the record for the most votes received this season. So congratulations, Nadia. You won something. Your athleticism got you something.
She escaped so many times, and like, she escaped at Final 5, she escaped at Final 7, she escaped at Final 8, at Final 9, at Final
the dark round
when Ayal went home. Like, she was, I thought she was unstoppable.
All it took was those goddamn dice and dominoes seemed to be her enemy.
Yeah, they're her kryptonite. Sorry, Nadia. I think the hardest part was just knowing that Nadia wasn't going to be able to come back for a future season.
And then she was saying like, All Stars?
That was all she said the entire season, Lee. Like, every time I talk with her, she'd be like, okay, yeah, we're going to finish this season best we can, but like, All Stars, that's like where we're really going to leave our mark. And then just knowing that she's now like ineligible, having graduated, is really sad, to be honest. Thought
we tried to get her to play season 4, but it didn't work.
Nadia, do a master's in whatever your major is.
She's too busy being a golf pro.
She's too busy being an athlete. New drinking game. Take a shot whenever Nadia says, "I'm an athlete" in her confessionals when she doesn't win.
And then to sober back up, take a shot every time she wins an immunity challenge with that athletic prowess.
Yeah, you can add it to the drinking game of take a shot every time Abby cries, every time Valen has that blurry confessional look, and every time Haley makes a weird analogy that nobody will understand. You'll be dead by the end of the episode.
Touche.
And we talked about the Final Four. Let's talk about our 5th place person, Henry, who came close to winning the Final 5 immunity.
I would love a world where Henry films himself from day one. He would be such an interesting character. Like, this season, like, you see, like, he does some dope ass shit at the end of this season. And then if he's a full-fledged character that you care about from day one, imagine how much you would have been invested in his story arc until the end, right? So I don't know. I think Henry's one of the best strategists we've had in Scotty Survivor. I think that he is so good in this season. When I think about like people who really played the season well, like, he's up there for my player of the season, as far as like just pure strategic value. And like the way that he was able to really come to his own after like Ayal went out and things like that, like he became like the figure force of like that Zaman group moving forward, and the real reason in my mind that like all 3 of them like made it further. And then he also had his great thing going with X, took out Vivian. Like, there's so many cool things that Henry did. And once again, another person who I didn't see that fire from him during casting. Like, a lot of the people who I saw during casting went out early merge and or like end of the pre-merge, right? Like, I was huge on Ayal, huge on Vivian, but Henry, I was just like, okay, seems like a cool guy. Like, if Olivia vibes with him, I loved having Olivia on season 1. Maybe he'll be a cool guy. But I was like, oh, Henry gives me similar vibes to Xavier. We'll see what comes of that. And then they end up being very different people. So I'm happy that Henry played this season. Sad again that he's another person who's now graduated that we might not be able to see again, but so be it.
I think Henry played really well. I think it was really frustrating from a production standpoint of not being able to really tell his story. I think it was such a bummer. And I don't really know what happened. It's not like we didn't remind him a million times. And there's only so much that we can do. It's at a certain point, it's up to them to. We tried. We did. Most of his content is
Was
things that
postseason.
most of his content are things that we filmed for him. So
Does Guy not own a camera?
I mean, that's what you see, right? Like, you see a little bit in this finale of him walking on the street, but like the majority of his confessionals are like right after a challenge or something, where you see him standing in a dark area, and it's just like a producer in his face being like, "Okay, now speak."
I mean, he's Mr. Mysterio for a reason.
yeah, he was definitely dubbed Mr. Mysterious for a
Oh,
reason.
mysterious. I've been
Yeah.
calling him Mysterio this whole time.
I
He's
think
a
that's
Superman
really
villain.
funny. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, he's a really great player. It's really unfortunate that he just didn't film more. I guess the same thing like happened for Nikhil, but like definitely a different situation.
Yeah, it was like, we don't need more content from you, Henry. You actually made decisions.
Yeah, for me. It was a really big bummer that like because I really wanted to like put in his thought process like at the Xavier vote or at or when Nikhil was getting voted off, but I just didn't have any of that. Or even like when Parker was getting the boot, like there wasn't much from him. So yeah, I just wish we had more. And sometimes that's the bummer of College Survivor. You just really can't do anything about it.
Yep, and now thanks to him, you probably have you probably now have a rule for casting people. It's like, you have to submit confessionals.
We've had that rule, Lee. Whether or not people listen to us,
We got very strict about it. No, actually, I don't know if we did get strict about it.
I don't think we did. I think we did, and then we stopped being strict about it.
We will be very strict about it for All Stars. There you have it.
Yeah, because All Stars is happening. Who do you want to return? We'll see if they will, if they graduate or not.
We can tell you right now who the eligible people are because there are so many people that have graduated from this cast in particular.
Bring him to the world.
From this cast, the eligible people, not necessarily people who have applied, are
the ones our sons call
Anna, Ayal, Vivian, Xavier, Nikhil, Haley, and Abby.
I can see 6 of the 7 coming back.
So we'll
see about that.
I'm definitely pro bring back Vivian. If she does not want to return, give me her Discord and I will not harass, constantly remind her that she should come back for All Stars.
I think we're open almost to anyone from season 2 who wants to come back. This has been an amazing season as far as making decisions on All Stars casting. That's something we're for sure going to have to do in the next few upcoming weeks. And I think it'll be super interesting. This is probably a podcast for like 2023, 2024 at the earliest. But talking through the dynamics between the season 2 cast who will be playing, plus their friends on season 1. Like there's a lot of intermingling between the casts as well, which will be interesting.
Plus the upcoming season 3 and 4 cast.
Exactly.
I also like before we kind of get into before we get into our guests, and just even saying about All Stars, like that's the end of our involvement, but like, and we're not even really going to be there. But with this cast in particular, I think part of the reason that it was so good was that we like intentionally cast groups of people that we knew each other. Not the whole cast, but like we had Val and Joe and Ricky and Tina and Nadia and Abby and Vivian and Ayal and Xavier. Like we had all these, and Jude and Lauren. We had all these. And I'm probably even missing some of people that were familiar enough with each other. I would love to see like a roommate season. I think that would be fantastic. But yeah, I think that's why this was so successful, is just because the dynamics. I think when it's one person knowing a lot of people, it can make it really emotional and hard. But when everybody has those relationships that they have to juggle, it's something else.
Yeah, I mean, a roommate season would be great, like a college version of Blood versus Water, roommates, friends, etc.
I want to credit Ian Harris from Michigan for that idea because it's brilliant.
Shout out to Ian. If you have no idea who he is, then you clearly live under a rock. I mean, Michigan's probably one of the biggest college survivors. If you have not heard of that, what's wrong with you?
Yeah,
I highly doubt anyone's watching 35 minutes into a Survivor podcast about Scotty Survivor without knowing what Michigan is.
yeah. No, I mean, Ian texted me about this season this morning, and he was like, he literally said to me, he was like, Abby winning is the most batshit thing I've ever seen. Like, he was like, and the funniest part was he was like texting me the whole season, being like, Abby's never winning, Abby's never winning. He was like, it just seems so obvious, and I was like, yeah, it did seem so obvious, and that's why it's great.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying I don't see a world where Abby wins. It'd be great, but I just tried to look at reality. But I forgot this is Scotty Survivor. Reality doesn't mean shit in this game.
So Lee, how does this final three stack up to the final three in season 1 in your opinion?
I think this final three, it was definitely a lot closer because season 1, loved them all. It was obvious Olivia was winning.
Gotcha.
But this one, I genuinely could have seen. Well, I said in the world, I did not see Abby winning. I would have loved it, but I kept thinking in my head, it's like, oh, maybe it's going to be Valen winning. No, actually, Haley could get this person's vote, but Valen could say this and get this one vote. But this person might vote for Abby just for like continuity purposes. It's like, what if Nadia wins? Does Nadia actually get more votes than I think? It was just a lot of. I mean, look at the Discord. I send like a picture every like episode or day or two of me just doing write-ups. I'm like, okay, this is what I think is happening, and then it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Like I've had 5 different winner picks and none of them won.
Very fair.
I had like Vivian did not win, Haley did not win, and then my backups were like Valen and Ranjan, and they did not win. Valen came close, but and so did Haley.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely now see you guys' point on this season being better than season 1.
Yeah, I think the season fires on all cylinders. I think even Nikhil and Henry, who don't have a ton of content, I think you get a good glimpse for at least one episode, like what everyone's thinking and how they really operate. Like Nikhil has that vote where he becomes Xavier's dying vote, and he has like a fleshed out like character narrative of being like the new Godfather. And I think that's something that's so unique to this season, where you can really relate to almost every character in some capacity. Whereas in season 1, I think it's the Olivia Leo Sarah show at most, right? Like Erin at times too, but like that's really like the crux, and it's like how does Olivia like manage all these different things? And it's a season of Olivia, but this, I think, it is a season of the Puppet Master, but it's everyone else too.
Yeah, this season definitely was like, it changed who its main character was. And that could be to the amazing editing skills of Shane. Also, your hosting is like on point.
Thank you. Thank you.
As well, yeah, and Govan, you're like hilarious in the challenges.
Appreciate it, mate. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think everything Govan said is really accurate. I think what was so great about this cast is that, and the way that this played out, is that I said this at the beginning, every single person had their moment. And you were like, even Nikhil? I was like, yeah, even Nikhil. Like, he does have his moment. Like, Xavier's dying vote, I think, is a really underrated kind of moment in the season. I think it's hilarious. That, like, everybody's calling him his extra vote, and then he gets voted out by his extra vote. Like, that's so fucking funny.
That like would have been Nadia if the votes went properly at Final 8.
Yeah. Yeah. So this, like, everything about this season was just so incredibly special. And you can praise my editing skills, but really they did the majority of the work. I just strung it together. So without them, there was no moments for them to shine. I had ideas for the editing, but if they hadn't done everything they done, my editing would just be my editing. You know what I mean? It doesn't change. They changed the game. So
Yeah. Speaking of Nikhil, we have his favorite person in our guest list. You might have heard of her this season. It's only the puppet master / winner. It's Abby. Hi,
Hey,
Abby.
are you on campus right now?
Well, okay, I told you this. I just came from a grad student frisbee game, which is why I look like this. So you're welcome. I'm happy to be here now.
Thanks, Abby, for coming here. I think first thing to say, congratulations on winning.
Thank you.
Only 2 years lately on the congrats.
Wait, no, it hasn't. It's
It was a year ago.
Was it a year ago?
It was
JK.
a year ago.
Yeah. So here's your year late congratulations. None of us thought you were going to win, but purely because of how good you were.
Yeah, I did not think so either. So you're in good company.
So I think we start off. How does it feel to be a winner?
Good. I don't know. I am as I don't know. I think I said this to Shane right day 3 or something. I was like, look, if I get voted out now, I've made my mark, it's fine. And then I ended up making it to the end. So that was totally unexpected. Such a fun experience. I'm just so glad I got to play it all the way through,
Yeah, you were definitely a fun character to watch. You and your multiple personas of the girl who can't lie, the puppet master, your one who cries all the time, Nikhil's best
Not
friend.
Why was no one else so emotional? I just don't get it.
I think they were, but they probably just didn't film as much.
Those heartless.
Yeah, Abby, I'm sorry. Nobody can live up to your 62 videos in week 1.
Whatever.
You were busy week 1, and you didn't. Well, I was going to say you didn't go to tribal, but you did find every idol in a weekend.
I was busy, yeah, busy with Survivor, and luckily not busy with anything else because I didn't have a life.
My first weekend of that game was literally just following Abby around. She didn't know me at all. I was like, I'm just gonna follow this girl.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and you have people looking at her. It's like, girl, you're kind of being stalked.
I wasn't with you when you found the Zaman idol, but I think I was with you for pretty much every other interaction that you when you went to Vivian, when there were so many things that weren't even in edit. You guys put a fake idol in there that didn't even get shown.
Yeah, that was sad though, because the tribe got nuked immediately afterwards.
It was a good fake idol plan. I liked it.
Yeah.
You mean Nadia wasn't the only fake idol person?
No, Vivian and Abby dressed up like ninjas and a fake idol, but then it got then Dorit got decimated the next day, so there just was no point.
Downfall of Dorit.
Yeah.
And up with Verandy.
True.
That's why all the names are green. We're celebrating the Verandy winner.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Verandy forever.
So going into Final Tribal, we could clearly tell that you did not believe you were going to win.
Yeah.
What out of the speeches, which one do you think was did you kind of know you were going to win after the jury, or were you still yeah, I'll be happy if I get a vote. Thanks, Vivian, for the pity vote.
I thought I had a fighting chance for sure. I didn't want to I don't know, if you keep your expectations low, you'll always be happy, right? But I think actually we had to wait inside while everyone voted, obviously. And I think Henry came up to me and he was like, "Oh, who do you think's gonna win?" And I was like, "I honestly think it's gonna be Valen." And he was like, "Interesting."
Good old classic Henry commentary.
Classic. Yeah, so I was not trying to get my hopes up. I really thought people resented me, and I was happy with the game that I played, so I was not going to be disappointed either way, I think. And I totally would have Valen deserved to win as much as anyone, so that would have been a totally fine outcome for me.
You all deserved it. You all played amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
It's so rare that we actually see a Final 3 where all of them deserve to win.
I mean, this whole cast was just really, really fun to play with, and I think did really well.
Yeah, and these two still won't explain how they found you lot.
They grew us in a lab to play this season of Survivor.
I knew it. There's no way half of this cast is human.
Yeah, including you, Abby. I don't think you're human.
Yeah, they
How
gave me
does-
the job for a different purpose. I got out.
So that's why you're all green. It's not the tribe. You're just genetically mutants.
True.
I mean, how does somebody named the Puppet Master, who gets exposed right at the merge, somehow barely gets a vote and wins the season?
You tell me, man.
That was baffling.
And
I don't know how you did not get any votes. That was insane.
I honestly just think that people were like, okay, watching back this final council, I was like, I'm selling pretty hard the fact that like my convincing people was why they didn't vote me out, but I really think that they like genuinely thought that they could just wait to get me out until like later. And they were like, oh, there are bigger threats around. And I feel like that was just like I mean, obviously no one knew that I was going to win a bunch of challenges at the end. So that's not even their mistake. Like they genuinely could have voted me out. Like it could have worked. It just like happened to not. So
Well, I think their mistake was letting you get into the final 6 with an idol. Like they all knew you fucking had it. Like they should have used it. Like
wait,
then,
Abby had an idol?
what?
You're kidding.
in it would be one thing if you went and refound it, right? Then they at least tried. However, they didn't even make an attempt. And they were so focused on Xavier for whatever reason. I thought that was a silly decision. I think they should have voted for you there.
I don't know. I think Xavier could have beaten me at the end.
Maybe, but they would have had more opportunity to get him out than you.
Potentially.
Yeah, because who would have thought you would have won 3 immunities? The most this season.
Is it the most? I thought I was tied with somebody.
No, you won 3 immunities. The next highest is Haley and Xavier with 2.
Yeah, I thought Haley was maybe.
And I think you have the most immunity wins out of the 2 seasons. I don't think anybody won 3 in season 1.
I don't remember season 1, so I cannot confirm.
Because I think the immunities were like pretty spread.
Leo won 2. Leo won 2, yeah.
So yeah, you potentially have the most. If not, you were tied at least. So that's another thing you won. God, you're just taking all the wins this season.
Oh god.
So obviously, you won a year ago. And watching back the season, was there anything you were surprised by when you were watching? Like, oh, I didn't know this person had this opinion of me. Oh, I didn't know Valen actually knew 7 people.
Yeah, I'm trying to think because now, like, because I've heard about it since the end of the season, like all these things that happened that I didn't know. So I don't know that anything was like, there's no like huge plot point that I was like, oh, I didn't know that was happening. I guess I didn't know that like Haley was really talking to as many people as she was. Because when I was playing with her, I think it really just seemed like it was like the 2 of us. And like having seen her like talking to Valen, talking to Xavier, even before we like actually voted with Xavier, I was like, damn, like good job, Haley. Like I did not know that was happening.
She was ready to get you out.
Yeah, and yeah, she missed her chance. Sorry. Rip.
And welcome, Naomi.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, it's been quite the crazy week. Abby, congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you for a very entertaining season of Survivor, because I'll tell you, not every winner can do that, but you won and provided an incredible season of Survivor. So thank you. I enjoyed watching.
I want to give credit to the rest of the cast for also being incredibly entertaining, but thank you.
They were. They didn't find like 3-4 idols, but you know, they're
6.
like
6.
Was
The girl
it?
found 6 idols.
You guys have
Okay.
numbers.
You know,
Yeah.
We have the stats.
Okay, Lee, you have all the stats. Well, guys, I honestly I just really love the finale. I love this season, and my questions, I have so many questions for you, Abby, but I know that you guys have talked a lot and I haven't gotten to watch it, but I wanted to know, Abby, did you expect this when you entered the game? Did you anticipate any of this happening, any of the friendships, the relationships, and sort of accomplishing? Sorry, I took myself out of the stream.
She's so amazing.
Wait, did I don't think there's any way I could have expected any of this. I think I expected to become better friends with Vivian for sure. and like that definitely happened. But like making the sort of connections that I did, and like my friendship with Ethan especially, it was like it was like really nice, and I did not expect that at all. I did not expect to make it as far as I did, obviously. Yeah, I don't know. This turned out to be like so much more a part of my life than I thought it was going to, and like continued to be even after the season, because I was like on production. I've been on production for the last year, so yeah, it was definitely a huge thing.
I don't think anybody expects to be crying over College Survivor, and then suddenly you are.
You're now like probably the fourth person to bring that up.
Everybody.
You know what? It's fine. We all get emotional sometimes. Sometimes we decide that it's something to film, and sometimes Shane decides it's something that needs to be in the edit, and that's fine.
If it makes you feel better.
I was trying to make you a rootable villain that has human elements, okay?
It was too human. There were too many human elements.
If it makes you feel better,
it worked because everybody was like, Abby isn't even a villain. So
yeah, that was the big question. Is like she's doing these villainous things, but she has emotions and she feels for these people. Like it's so conflict. It's like I don't want to say anti-hero because that's like a dick who's just like does heroic things, but you're just like a nice person that does like sneaky things.
I think you're in your own category. You're not a hero or a villain. Like
you're an Abby.
You're an Abby. No, maybe we should just call you a Randy after your duck.
Yeah.
True. I think if I had been like in the majority alliance, this would have been different. But like being in the minority in the merge, I think it's easier to root for people who are not just controlling every vote, you know? Maybe that's it.
So if that first merge vote did go to plan, let's say Ethan had a brain cell and actually had common sense and voted with you and voted off Nikhil, would you have stuck with that 6 to the end?
Actually, I think it's, I mean, obviously in hindsight, I can be like, yeah, that was a good thing that like I was in the minority because like I didn't have to vote off my alliance members. They just kind of got voted off. I think like Vivian was afraid of Ricky. I sort of was too. I knew that I probably wouldn't win against Vivian either. Not that that like mattered that much to me at that point. So I don't know, like everyone, I would have had to vote off at some point. And if we had been in the majority, that would have been much more difficult. So maybe it's a good thing.
Well, I'm curious on that same point of like, do you think your bond with Haley would have been as strong if you guys weren't basically forced to work together so constantly to keep yourself out of water?
Yeah, well, Haley was already talking to other people, so you know. But no, I think you're right. Because we were like tied together because of that, and we sort of like had to really. We were always like talking to each other, so that was good. That was definitely good.
Outside of winning, do you have like a favorite moment of the season?
I honestly think I did not peak when I won. I peaked when I idled out Eyal. Like
I knew you were gonna say that.
That was the like best moment of my life so far. Like I've never felt more in control of anything.
Wow,
it was fantastic. Sorry, Eyal. Great player. I love seeing Eyal at the beginning of the season. Like he's such main character energy. Like I just like loved seeing that. And then I was like kind of sad what he got idled out, but then I was like, okay, well.
They all had more confessionals than Henry and Nikhil combined.
That really checks out. That really does.
I'm not even kidding. I counted.
And what episode was he eliminated in? What, like 5?
5,
Yeah.
the double episode.
Damn.
The anti-Zaman episode.
One team, one fight.
One scene, one
fight.
Oh god, that one.
Was there anything, Abby, that like surprised you watching it back? I maybe this question's already been asked, but like a moment that you didn't expect to see somebody saying something or a conversation that was happening?
Wait, yes. So I have already answered it. I said I didn't know that Haley was talking to a bunch of other people, like at the end, like mid-merge / the end of the merge, and I was like, good job, Haley. Like, really fooled me. Like, I thought you were only really talking to me. But Wait, there was one point in this episode, this like finale episode, where I think it was the Final Five challenge, and Henry called me a leprechaun and said something. I was like, I just did not realize that was something that he said to me, but it totally was. Anyway, that was the worst answer to the question that was
No, I
asked.
like that.
I remember being offended by that.
Hmm?
I remember being offended by that. I was like,
Oh no, that was hilarious.
somebody who's actually from the leprechaun land.
Yeah.
How dare
You know.
he?
Have we given props to Haley and Valen like appropriately? God, I love them both. This Final Four, Nadia, my Rob winner pick.
Black
and
Widow Brigade.
It was just, I feel like, so fun to watch four very, very smart, strong people play in the end, because I feel like so rarely do you have a Final Four vote that's not like, oh yeah, I think we need to Valentine this person because they're really strong. I love that it went to a tiebreak, and I like the tiebreaker challenge. Some YouTube comments disagree, but
did you enjoy my little clap back, Naomi? I don't know if you saw.
I will talk to you off air, Shane, but yes, I did. And this challenge made me think of the Cyber Chase episode with the dragons. That's what I was thinking about, and maybe I'm too old in this moment and nobody else saw that, but there's a whole Cyber Chase episode. If you were a child, you would have seen it and you would have won this challenge. So
I was never a child, so I didn't see it.
Exactly. So it's a good thing that you won the immunity challenge.
Wasn't a thing over here.
Yeah, you're missing out, Shane. PBS kids. That is what it is. But yeah, great Final Four, and I mean, like, Final Five. Did I call it too? I definitely called Henry getting voted out at 5. Which thank you so much, Abby. Because if we were robbed of an all-woman Final Four, I would have lost my fucking mind.
I mean, we were so close last season.
So close. It is what it is.
So let's talk about your relationship with your best friend in the game, Nikhil.
God damn.
I'm joking. That was a weird thing. So let's talk about your relationship with both Vivian and Ethan, because Vivian was a pre-existing one that probably grew, and then Ethan was a brand new one that
fell apart and then maybe rebuilt itself a little bit.
I wouldn't say fell apart. I would say more like it was. You know how those fences are just like they're together, but they have holes through them?
Sure, yeah.
Barbed wire fences.
Or like chain link fences.
I thought you said sentences. I was like, what sentences have pauses in them all the time? It's called breathing.
So what were those two relationships like having in the game, like knowing somebody coming in and then creating this bond with somebody that you've never met before?
It was like great to have Vivian at the beginning, because I like don't think that I would have. I mean, the Puppet Master would not exist without Vivian for sure. And like I don't think I would have really known what I was doing if I didn't like I went to Vivian about basically everything. I don't know if she told me everything, but like I definitely told her everything, and that was like really nice to have. And like I trusted that she at least would feel like really, really bad if she had to vote me off. Which was nice. Ethan's just, I love Ethan. I like really did not expect to be really close friends with anyone from this. And like once I knew that, like I met Ethan the first day and he was like, I'm also a grad student. I also graduated 2020. And I was like, wow, like maybe I can actually relate to this person. And I like pinned him as someone that I like wanted to be close to. And like, I'm very, very glad that ended up happening, because he's someone who also like, well, tried to hide it, but like knows a lot about Survivor and like knows what he's doing and can stalk people's emails extremely effectively. And he was just like such a great friend to have and like such a great asset in the game too. So I don't know. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you have Ethan who hid that he actually knew things about Survivor, and then you had Joe that you were convinced like knew Survivor.
I'm sorry, Joe. Like, let me just publicly apologize. That was so unnecessary. It really was. I just thought that, like, I don't know why. Like, there are some people in this game who, like, I just feel like were so sus about telling the truth. Like, Nadia was also one of them, where, like, anytime that she would be like, I'm not the puppet master, I was like, girl, you're doing yourself a disservice. That sounds like you're the puppet master. And I think it's just Joe's the same way. Whenever you're talking about Survivor, I was like, this guy knows what he's talking about, but he's trying to pretend he doesn't. But I was just so wrong. Like that was the thing.
Oh, poor Joe.
Poor Joe.
I mean, I don't think we talked enough about the Puppet Master. I mean, you had a whole episode dedicated towards you. Like, how does that feel? Like, you had a whole episode where it's
That's
just
an
like,
Iron
it's
Man
the
reveal.
Abby episode.
Oh yeah.
That was Abby's. Abby, we talked about this. You can tell. Like, I mean, I basically asked you like, how did you want it to be revealed? So
I like had this. This is such a stupid idea, but I'm glad that I did it, even though it looks really cheesy. But I was like, what if I do like the last scene from Iron Man? Like, I'll just rewrite the words to that. I don't know if the reference came through at all, but I was like, now I've had this idea, like I have to do it. And Shane was like, I think it's hilarious, so it worked out.
I thought it was great. The reference was there. Shane did preface it to us, but I thought it was like a great reveal.
I mean, there were also the Iron Man music in the
It was the
background.
Iron Man music, yeah, and the breaking.
How did you not get copyright stricken immediately? Good for you.
It did. They just say copyright claim on YouTube.
Yeah, they don't actually do anything. It just says
Take all your
copyright
Scotty
claim.
Survivor money.
We don't make
Yeah.
Scotty Survivor money. What are you talking about?
I mean, Abby made 500 off this, so.
Yeah, but not from YouTube.
Plus 50, plus your own $50.
We should get.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, true. Yeah, I did give
Oh,
myself $50. I pulled it.
for dropping out.
Yeah,
So,
we should
since
do
you are.
ads on YouTube. You can get a lot of money.
Scotty Survivor sponsored by Skillshare.
Yeah.
True. We were sponsored by Xfinity. What happened there? Am I allowed to talk about it?
I mean, that was known that last season, that Xfinity.
That was a one-time thing.
Yeah. Xfinity needs to invest in, startups like ourselves.
Yeah, that or M&M's.
Yeah, startups that steal intellectual property exclusively.
True.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess we could stop doing that.
Yeah. Govind, I would love if every challenge you pointed to camera and said sponsor us for whatever. Like,
Yeah,
if you
just whatever we're doing that time. Yeah.
Yeah, going full like idiocracy. Like, we're sponsored by Gatorade this week. Gatorade, shoot us a message. Like, we're available. I would support it.
The
hustle.
winner of Scotty Survivor will get $500 sponsored by the school and a lifetime of hate comments from people they don't know exist.
No.
Oh no, dear.
So,
Let's get a
Abby,
lifetime
since-
supply of Gatorade. Just get like a truck full of M&Ms delivered to your house. That'd be
yeah.
great.
Actually, your delivery should be here in like 5 minutes. So, since you were a challenge beast this season, do you have a favorite challenge moment that made the air or didn't make the air, or maybe a least favorite moment?
Oh my god. Challenge beast is such an interesting term to refer to me as. I feel like the last ones, it was the slide puzzle. They were all like answer questions about the game. I feel like that's what was played to my strengths, at least. I don't know. What was my favorite challenge moment? Oh, my favorite challenge moment was when no one could remember 5 cards in a row except for Haley. That was incredible. That was the quickest challenge we've ever done on Scotty Survivor, and we need to repeat it again because we were just so stupid.
I was watching the challenge. I was playing like a video game on the Switch, and then I was like, "Wait, is the challenge over?" Like, I just like looked
was
away
so
for
quick.
like a second, and then I was like, "I just missed it."
Man, Queen
I
Haley.
I felt for Nadia. Poor Nadia, just like she just wanted to win so badly, and
I
I
know.
feel like
She's an
Shane,
athlete.
you guys were like edging her on a little bit, kind of poking the bear, like trying to get her to be even more upset about that. But she played it really smart. She just couldn't beat you, Abby.
Well, she was taken down by one blue M&M. Let's be real,
One
That-
blue M&M and one orange dice.
and one true.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Mm-hmm.
I hope she doesn't still think about that.
It haunts her to this day, actually. Every time she sees a dice or a domino, she shivers.
I don't think I've seen her eat M&M's since, like, legitimately. So I don't know if that's just because like we don't
Oh,
have
no.
many nearby, but
The trauma. No, it's the trauma for sure.
Thanks, Valen, for pointing it out.
mean, I still think the same result would happen because Nadia was not exactly stellar at puzzles.
Not that, Shane.
I mean, it's true. She said it herself.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Now, if it was an endurance comp, hand up in the air, I mean, you just do that.
Well, we had just done it, so that's like kind of why we didn't do it at the end. Is like we had just done it like 2 rounds before.
Yeah,
If y'all
I'm
had done endurance, I would have lost 100%. So
I mean, you
thanks.
were immune, so you didn't have to worry.
Well, like if the challenge had been like at Final Four, like the same as it was season
Last
one,
season, hug
I
the
mean,
pole.
it would have been horrible.
We had planned it out, so like it was determined way earlier.
So, to my knowledge, and as we can see from your background, you're still on campus. Potential All Stars.
Am I allowed to say anything about anything?
We know you're eligible to apply and potentially be cast. That's all we know.
I think the question would be, if you could play again, would you play?
Would you?
That is the question.
Is the duck? Would the duck play again?
Randy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is Randy
Randy's
going to make
still
a
with
comeback?
Randy is still with me.
In spirit.
Randy will come back no matter what. Randy is an all-star, and he will be attending All-Stars.
Yeah.
With
Shane
or
Gomez, if Randy isn't in the title sequence next season, I don't know what you're doing. But
I thought he was
right.
in the title sequence this season.
But keep him going. I mean, it's like it's like fire. This Randy
Yeah.
represents your life, Yeah.
He's the new hidden immunity idol thingy that you give out when they tried wins a challenge.
I did that once, maybe.
We talked about it. I don't know if we did it because I didn't really want to give up Randy.
No, you don't want to
We
some
could've just
like
given it to
schlub
them.
who puts it in his
We
shitty
could've-
apartment. No.
Knowing the season 3 cast, like
Yeah.
one of them would have like lost it, and then like you never see Randy again.
I mean, we
That
could have
would've
given it to
absolutely
them to hold for that specific moment, and then taken it right back from them.
Oh yeah, that's fair. He's just a symbol. He's not something that you can have.
He's something that you worship.
Exactly.
It's no longer Scotty Survivor, it's Randy Survivor.
That's correct. It's Randy's campus. We just live in it.
Like this show, it's Abby's World and we just watch it. Featuring the others.
Nah.
So let's say by some horrible disaster that you lost one of the 3 challenges that you won and got voted on. Let's say you lost Final 4 and the final 3 was Haley, Valen, and Nadia. I'm pretty sure I know your answer, but just to confirm, who would you have voted for?
I have to vote for Haley. I'm gonna vote for Haley. Like I think it would have been very difficult. I honestly don't know what I would have done. I think they all played good games like in their own right. But I feel like the tiebreaker would have just been like, I am close to Haley and I gotta give this to her. I don't know. Is that a bad answer?
No. There is no bad answers, only terrible questions.
Oh, okay.
Um,
One horrible question.
I'm wondering if this question's been asked yet. If it was a final 3 of Henry, Nadia, and Valen, do you know who you might have voted for?
Henry, Nadia, and Valen.
The OG Zamans.
So basically, they get you out, they get Haley out, they've done it, the majority
Yeah.
rules.
They've got their Saman final 3.
Yeah.
They always wanted. Can I abstain from a vote? Is that possible? No.
You could just not show up.
Hypothetically, yeah, you can just quit,
At that point, I think Henry made the most strategic moves, and I think he also played a very good social game. So I think he sort of edges them out like a bit in that sense. So yeah, I think I'd have to give it to Henry, even though I'd be so upset at a Zaman final 3. I'd be so upset. Just for the record.
I understood. I think the internet would be too, considering how happy YouTube comments are of this season. I feel like, the alternate timeline, right? Then you would have to really be Robert Downey Jr. and like go back in time and fix it so that people would be
That's
less upset.
true.
Right.
Her idols are the 6 idols. She found her the 6 Infinity Stones.
Oh man. Yeah, and I'm gonna destroy half of humanity with them.
No, just half of Zaman.
Just have someone.
I mean, you did
don't
kind
like
of destroy half of Zaman. Like, you're the reason AL went home. You kind of down spiraled Nadia, and you beat Valen at the end.
I suppose. I suppose.
You also kind of had an effect on Lauren, and you did vote
Oh.
off Henry. Literally, the only one you had no interaction with was Actually, never mind. You had something with him too.
Well, that was honestly the Parker thing was Vivian.
That
that
was
was-
so funny.
Yeah.
it's a
Oh, well,
library,
me to
8:15.
know that he hated me. That's true. That's so true.
Mr. A puppet master.
Mr. Puppet Master. I died. I'm sorry, Parker. I'm sorry, Lauren. Really, I didn't know that was gonna work out so horribly for her. That's super sad.
I mean, to be fair, you weren't the one that placed the fake idol there.
Yeah, but like I guess you can lead a horse to water. What's the
You can lead a horticulture.
yeah, exactly.
Wait, is that not the saying?
Okay,
That's
I
that does
now
not the
get
same thing here.
I now get the double entendre, but I thought you were just talking about like gardening. Never
Okay, to
mind.
be honest, I just remember hearing that somewhere, and I don't remember where. I don't know if it's actually the saying. I think it is. You can lead a horse to
Spitting is
water.
you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Yes,
Yeah.
that.
But
Oh.
holy fuck, Lee.
Anyway,
I watch too much Drag Race. I watch too many of these shows. Help me.
so unfortunately, Lauren drank the fake idol.
Yeah.
So
She drank the fake idol Kool-Aid.
she did.
Yeah.
So bad.
So I want to talk about the jury for a quick second. Well, first thing I want to talk about is Runjan's jury outfits. At the very end.
Incredible.
I wish I could.
It was so good.
Nadia is definitely second place. She definitely looked nice in the suit with the fake idol wrapped around her necklace.
Oh yeah, iconic. That was great.
So you were you were skilled enough to get 5 jury member votes. Were there any votes that you were surprised, like, oh, this person voted for me?
Okay, so I need to remember who voted for who. So it was like Nikhil voted for Haley,
Yeah,
Henry and Ethan voted for Valen,
and the rest voted you.
and the rest. So that would have been.
Runjan, Ricky, Vivian, Xavier, and Nadia.
I'm surprised Nadia. Actually, a little bit. I don't know. I don't think that Nadia was a sure vote to me at all at any point. So, thanks, Nadia.
She changed her mind at final council. She was a valid vote.
Really.
Yeah.
Yeah, you convinced her.
She just had too much respect for the game, I think.
Hmm.
And her thing was like strategy.
Yeah, I guess you were just too respectful, and she just had to vote for you.
Yeah. I fully thought that going into it that Ricky, Nikhil, Nadia would be voting Valen. And then I think Abby, through your performance in the final 3, swayed people.
Really.
I think Ricky was not voting for Valen.
Ever?
No, he was most likely going to vote for Haley and then Abby.
Maybe my
Valen
memory
was
of
options
John
3.
So essentially what happened was that Vivian was like texting everybody and their mother trying to convince them to vote for Abby, which is like great. But
Yeah,
what
thanks, Viv.
with Ricky
So,
was that he wanted to vote for Haley, and because he felt some sort of loyalty to her. And Vivian was like, Ricky, I understand you want to vote for Haley, but if you vote for Haley, Abby will not win and Valen will. Haley's not going to get any other votes. And so that's why Ricky voted for Abby. Well, he also liked Abby's game, obviously. But he felt betrayed by Valen and didn't feel like she ever really made him feel like a part of her game when they were friends beforehand. So he didn't really feel like he owed her his vote based on what he said at the final confessional part of it. He was like, yeah, I was going out of my way to like really work with you, and you let me go home for no reason, essentially. So yeah, I think he thought he was going to tie the vote, and then it didn't happen that way.
Yeah. Too many people wanted to vote for you.
He literally said, he's like, I'm manifesting this vote so that Haley will break the tie in your favor.
Interesting.
Talk about voting professionals that were anticlimactic.
I'm glad that Haley did not have to break the tie because that would have sucked for her.
Yeah, I mean, she would have voted for you, but
Well, I don't know.
no, she would have.
I don't know. I feel like it's easy to say that, but I don't think Haley would have taken that decision lightly. I think Haley's.
No, I mean, I asked Haley after the fact.
Okay.
I guess we just had to have Haley on at some point and ask her directly.
True.
I mean, I think her answer now would be completely skewed because her and Abby are like really good friends. So I think now she'd be like, of course I would vote for Abby. You know what I mean? Like when you are become that close with somebody, of course, like you're like, okay, it's a no-brainer. Like watching back the season, knowing what she knows now, of course she's gonna say, "Oh, I would vote for Haley." I mean, I would vote for Abby.
She'd vote for herself. Like,
I just want to say, have we given Ranjan's outfit appropriate praise?
Yeah.
Because that's how you show up to Final Tribal. Damn it! Like it's a moment, you know. Like you got to give it the. It's so funny when I send the email for Survivor New York. I say bring something snazzy for the jury. And everyone goes, what does snazzy mean? This is what I mean by snazzy. This is what you show up in.
Absolutely.
From now on, in every email, it's like, bring something snazzy, and here's
Attached
an example.
photo of Ranjan, yeah.
We also said Nadia's outfit was great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We love people who show up, you know?
Yeah. Did you have a final tribal outfit planned, Abby? I kind of noticed this when I was editing all the tribal councils. These are for my own videos. I don't work for Scotty Survivor. You wear a lot of yellow.
Thank you for noticing. Yellow is my favorite color. I tried to wear yellow in like basically every. I didn't work out at the end because I forgot about it, but I tried to wear yellow in like all the shots, you know, and it almost worked. And I wore this long yellow coat thing at final council, and I was like, this round. With what?
With the Verandi green.
Oh yeah, I was wearing a green shirt, yeah, for my OG Verandi.
Yeah. I think Haley got the memo mixed up. She was wearing Zaman pink.
But is Zaman pink or is it purple? Really?
It's pink.
That is the big debate of the season. They were dragging us in their tribe chat. They were like, it's purple. And we were like, no, it's pink.
It's kind of purple though.
Okay, I looked at the color hue. It's on the pink side.
I'm literally praying to all gods that our All Stars buffs do not have the same problem that we had in season 2.
Yeah. It's like, are they pink? Is it purple? Maybe it's actually red.
Yeah.
So I have to scoot because I leave for Survivor New York tomorrow. But Abby, again, this was so much fun, and getting to watch you play and everybody that you worked with. I love Vivian so much. I just like this was such a great cast, and it was really fun. Congratulations, Shane and Goman. Thank you for another great season of College Survivor. I know how hard you worked on last season and this season, and it's very impressive the turnaround you have while making other seasons of Survivor. And you guys do such a wonderful, polished job. And everyone is saying that this is in the top 5 College Survivor seasons, and they're not wrong. So congratulations to both of you. This was awesome.
Thank you, Naomi.
I almost ended the broadcast. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let you keep talking. But bye.
That's my job. Bye. Good luck with New York. So, is there anything much you want to say, Abby, or any questions you want to ask us?
Oh man. No. I don't think so. I can't think of anything. Say anything I didn't say. I feel like I've apologized to everyone now. What, I got Ale, I got Lauren. Very nice.
You still haven't apologized to Nikhil for saying you wanted to last longer than him, which is 100% common sense, but...
I don't know if I can apologize for that one.
No. You know what, Nikhil, he made his move, and I'm glad that he did.
Because it made it easy to vote him off next.
He had his moment, and good for him.
Jane Golan, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up? And maybe, do you want to give us any hints for season 3 because that's coming next year. This season was so intense that we need a whole year to recover.
I will say that I am not touching a single fucking thing for season 3 for like months. I'm so burnt out. I'm so burnt out. Yeah, no. Yeah, it'll come next year when I feel like it.
Yeah.
What I will say is first to put a bow on season 2, I think this was like by far the best cast we could have ever asked for. I think from a prod standpoint too, we all worked together behind the scenes. I think in a much more like smooth manner than season 1, which hopefully is also evidenced in like the variety of different shots we have and things like that. Which I mean is also easier to do when you're in person when compared to having to just like different frames on a Zoom call, which isn't a lot to work with, but. My mom, I remember, was telling me at the end of this episode, like, why didn't we call in all of the prod members for like one final hurrah at the end? And looking back, maybe that's something we always take a group photo at the end. Maybe that's something we should also include in the episodes too, so that everyone gets their moment in the spotlight. But this isn't Shane and I at all. This is like everyone who is involved. And on that, there were like 3 other people on our exec prod team that season: Vanessa, TJ, and Shravya, who were all like super important in getting this off the ground. And then for next season, we added new members to our exec team, those being Abby, Judanique, Haley, and Xavier. So get excited for that. And as far as like, we got a big twist upcoming in how the tribes are going to function. We also ditched the T word and start calling them crews next season. So a lot on the horizon.
That's going to get something to get used to.
We can, I guess, you know what? I'm feeling a little, since there was no trailer, I'm feeling a little generous about the main twist. What do we think, Open?
Yeah, for sure. Go for it. I was going to say it and then I felt guilty.
So for the beginning of the game, we have what we're calling the Pirates Plunder. So each round, somebody will be kidnapped by the other team. So even if you win the challenge, you don't actually keep the numbers because after the crew council, somebody will be kidnapped from the other team and put on the team that just voted somebody out. And there's some other things that go into it, some other decisions that are made alongside that I'll keep a little hidden for now. But that's the main twist of the season. It doesn't go for too long for some other reasons. Which you'll find out. But this season, I would say, I said this before, nothing's ever going to top season 2. However, I think season 3 has a really strong cast with a lot of really intense moments. I think the merge, in terms of like how it went down, maybe more exciting than this merge, possibly, in some of the votes that happened. Maybe not in the story sense, but like in the outcome. Yeah, some really fun moments, some really hard moments, and just I think it's gonna be really fun. I like the theme. Abby, you were on prod. Do you have any other?
Yeah. I was just gonna say, I think there are a lot of characters on season 3, and another robotics grad student near and dear to my heart. So
two.
One of
not
them
robotics. One of them's not robotics.
No, yeah,
The
both
one
of them.
Two of them are not robotics. There are 3 grad students. 3.
Oh,
but all of them were studying some sort of robotics.
It was close to
not
robotics.
just M was studying robotics.
Yeah.
And code names.
MTS.
And
More grad students. That's what you need to know.
Yeah.
more grad students.
And we got like people who are like celebrities is a strong word.
If you say they're TikTok stars, they're not celebrities.
Yeah. Okay. Your words, not mine, Lee. I don't want to get dragged online. But they're like very big personalities, and I think those personalities are the type that are going to make for they make for drama at the very least.
Oh, please tell me those people get voted off early. I hate TikTokers. You're not real celebrities. It's not even a real app.
I fully expected the opposite reaction from you, Lee. I thought you would be.
Oh no, I hate TikTok.
Wow.
I mean, I have one, but I don't barely
Okay.
post on it anymore.
You're actually not really a TikTok influencer, more of a Twitch influencer,
Oh, that's okay.
which
All
I
right.
don't really know the difference, but okay.
Twitch is a streaming platform,
I
while
know
TikTok is just a
like,
shittier Vine.
I don't know like why. You know what? I'm not gonna say things that will get me dragged on the internet.
Maybe once we're no longer live, it'll be safe to say it.
But all in all, I think the highs of the cast are really like high highs, like some very interesting characters and like some very rootable figures as well. I can think like 2-3 that for sure come up to mind right away, and I think people that hopefully you will see on this season and want to see them in future seasons too.
Yeah. Abby, any future puppet masters in the making?
I guess you'll have to watch to find out.
There might be a little nothing quite as extravagant as the Puppet Master itself, but I'll say 2 words and I'll leave it at that. Saltwater Sam.
Oh no. I don't know who that is, but I feel like just saying "oh no," and then your guys' knowledge of it maybe will fit.
It'll be fun. But yeah, I guess just kind of like wrapping up on this season. Like like I said at the beginning, I'm so kind of like glad and grateful for all the support that it's gotten. I think just like reading all the comments, like it really makes my day. And just, this was a huge undertaking for me and everybody else who worked on it. So I'm just so thrilled with the way it came out. And yeah, I think everybody else is too. Just so, kind of happy to be done with it now because it was a lot of time, but just what an incredible thing to have and work with. Just so special.
Yeah. I'm going to thank you two for hosting an amazing season, and thank the producers that are hopefully watching that I have no knowledge of their existence, but well done to you guys. You did a great job. Thanks to the cast for being such an entertaining lot. Thanks to everyone who filmed. Thanks to Abby for winning. And congrats once again. And thanks to both of you for just coming on, doing this every so often. Thanks, Naomi, for also coming. Erin All Stars. She's not here right now. She's a huge fan of yours, Abby. She was the only one that still believed in you.
Oh, thanks.
I talked last week.
Oh yeah, we did. I remember.
Oh yeah, you popped on.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. Thanks, Abby, for joining us. And thanks, everybody, for watching. That's another Scotty Survivor season over and done with. And Lord, we need a break. And if you want to see the season, just go on the Scotty YouTube channel, follow them, watch all the seasons. If you want to watch Just Tribal Council, look at my video I just made. I only like it because of the music I put in. Follow the Scotty Survivor socials. They have an Instagram. They have a Twitter. That's all the platforms I know of. If you want to talk Scotty Survivor, there's a chat in the Survivor Reddit Discord, so go join that. If you want more live reality games, follow the YouTube, follow the socials, follow us on anything where you see the podcast. You know the drill. And we'll see you for Season 3, Pirate Plunder.
Pirates
Bye,
Plunge, but very close.
Pirate Plunge. I was close.
It's all good, mate.
Bye.